Okay, so you're hitting the gym hard, right? Putting in the work, perfecting your form, maybe even dragging yourself out of bed for those early sessions. But that's really only half the story, isn't it? Anyone who's successfully packed on serious size will tell you the real battle, that happens in the kitchen. If you want to build muscle, you absolutely have to eat right. We all know that old saying, the bro science adage, you got to eat big to get big. But what does eating big actually mean when we look at the science? Optimizing for performance, for muscle growth. What are the real numbers?
That's precisely what we're diving into today for you. We're pulling out the foundational evidence-based principles of nutrition, specifically for intense resistance training. You might call it a bodybuilding diet. We're really focusing on how to use those macronutrients, protein, carbs, fats, to really support muscle growth and performance. And importantly, these ideas, they apply to pretty much everyone hitting the weight seriously, not just competitive athletes getting on stage.
Right. Okay, let's unpack that then. If we're building this performance diet from the ground up, we have to start with the basics, the macros, the split.
Exactly. The general blueprint is, well, pretty consistent. High protein, moderate fat, and then enough good quality carbs to fuel those tough training sessions you're doing. Our sources give us some pretty concrete daily ranges based on your body weight in kilograms. These numbers are really the cornerstone. Okay, so for protein, we're looking at 1.6 to 3.1 grams per kilogram of body weight. It's quite a range. For carbohydrates, it's between 3 and 5 grams per kilogram. And then fats, which are essential for hormones and general health, they should fall between 0.5 and 1.5 grams per kilogram.
Hey, hold on. This is where it gets really interesting for me, and I think where a lot of people, get a bit lost. Those ranges are huge. Let's use that example from the source. Someone weighing 80 kilos, their protein could be 128 grams, or it could be 248 grams, so that's almost double. How does someone listening figure out where they should be aiming within that massive spectrum?
Yeah, that's a key question. It really comes down to a few things interacting. Your main goal, building muscle versus losing fat, your training intensity, and where you're starting from, your body composition. So first step, like you said, is getting a handle on your total energy needs. You really should use an online calorie calculator. Estimate your BMR, adjust for activity. Get that baseline calorie target.
Right.
And once you have that target number, that sort of calorie budget, then you start divvying up the macros based on whether you're aiming to build or to cut. And this is crucial. You need to track it. Use an app, something like MyFitnessPal, maybe. Make sure you're hitting those macro targets within your calorie goal. And just as important, track your weight regularly. See what's happening.
Okay, so let's lay out the strategy then. 2 main goals. If you want to build muscle mass, you're going to aim for the higher end of those carb and fat ranges we mentioned. That helps you get into a moderate calorie surplus, right? Maybe 300 to 500 calories over what you need to maintain. That gives you the extra fuel and building blocks for growth. But conversely, if your goal is fat loss, you'd cut back on those same 2 carbs and fats, bring them down towards the lower end of their ranges to create that moderate deficit. But what about protein in those scenarios? Does protein drop when you cut calories too?
That's a great point. It's fascinating. Protein is often the one macro that stays high, or sometimes, believe it or not, even increases a bit when you're in a serious calorie deficit. It's a really key technical detail. When you're cutting calories significantly, getting enough protein becomes strongly anti-catabolic.
Anti-catabolic, meaning it stops muscle breakdown.
Exactly. It helps prevent your body from breaking down your hard-earned muscle tissue for energy when calories are scarce.
Okay, so high protein during a cut is like muscle defense. Got it. But what about bulking? Why do some people push protein way up to 3 grams per kilo, the top of that range? Especially if the evidence suggests, most folks maximize growth closer to maybe 1.8 or 2 grams per kilo. Is that just overkill or?
That's an excellent question. While that anti-catabolic shield is powerful in a deficit, the research does suggest that for most people, the peak anabolic signal, the muscle building signal, often maxes out around that 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilogram mark, pushing up towards 3.1 grams. That tends to happen more in, let's say, very specific competitive prep phases, or frankly, it might just be unnecessary for the average person in the gym. And sticking closer to that lower effective end, a 1.6 to 2 grams, actually has another benefit. It's often easier on your digestive system, your GI tract, less digestive load, less nitrogen weights for your kidneys to handle.
That's a really practical point about GI comfort. Okay, so we've got the macro numbers, and we know they're adjustable based on goals. What else is important beyond just the raw grams? Let's talk timing, meal frequency maybe. I remember when I first started tracking, I'd sometimes end up having to force down a huge protein shake late at night just to hit my number. It was not pleasant.
Right, and that discomfort is exactly what we want to avoid. Getting your nutrients in optimally usually means spreading your total daily macros over, say, 3 to 6 meals or feedings throughout the day. Now, this isn't about that old myth of stoking the metabolic fire every few hours. That's been largely debunked. It's much simpler. It's about efficiently delivering a steadier stream of amino acids and energy to your muscles. And yeah, preventing those uncomfortable last-minute protein binges. But frequency isn't the only timing factor. We should probably touch on peri-workout nutrition too.
Peri-workout, meaning what you eat right around your training session.
Exactly. What you consume immediately before and after training. This is one window where strategic intake can actually make a noticeable difference.
Okay, so what's the play there? What's optimal for that window?
Well, you basically want easy energy beforehand and quick recovery tools afterward. So a moderate amount of protein combined with some faster digesting carbohydrates, maybe 30 to 60 minutes before you train, that can help with endurance and reduce muscle breakdown during the workout. Then, right after you finish, repeating a similar protein and carb combo helps kickstart recovery. It replenishes glycogen stores, initiates muscle repair, that kind of thing. If you're only eating, say, 3 massive meals spread far apart, you might miss optimizing those key pre- and post-workout windows.
That makes sense. Shifting from just quantity to thinking about quality and timing of delivery. Okay, now let's talk about the difference between a sustainable, lifestyle approach versus the kind of extremes we sometimes see in the competitive bodybuilding world.
Yeah, this is a really critical distinction for listeners to understand. If your goal is actually stepping on a bodybuilding stage, getting truly shredded down to extremely low body fat levels, then you enter what's called a prep phase. This is a temporary, very intense period. It involves heavy calorie restriction, often significantly more than the moderate deficit we discussed. And interestingly, during this deep cut, protein intake often goes up even further, specifically to maximize that anti-catabolic effect, to hold on to as much muscle as possible while stripping fat. But, and this is the big but, this kind of extreme dieting, it's generally unnecessary and honestly probably unsustainable if you're just a regular lifter focused on getting stronger and healthier.
Right.
For most people, it's better to stick with a small, manageable calorie surplus for building or a small deficit for losing fat and really focus on maintaining a healthy body fat percentage long term, not those extreme peaks and valleys.
Okay, good distinction. Let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about supplements. The things sitting next to the shaker bottle. They get hyped up a lot, but our sources only really flag 3 specific ones with strong research backing for performance.
That's right. If you're looking for supplements that have solid evidence behind them, the main 3 are typically caffeine, creatine monohydrate, and beta-alanine. These have shown, demonstrable effects. Caffeine for alertness and perceived exertion, creatine for strength and power output, and beta-alanine for muscular endurance, helping buffer acidity during longer sets.
But, and this is crucial, we have to say this immediately, for most lifters, supplements are really just the icing on the cake, right? Maybe not even the icing, maybe just the sprinkles. Like the source analogy puts it, taking pre-workout isn't going to magically transform you from Peter Parker into Spider-Man overnight. The vast majority, we're talking 90% or more of your results, that comes directly from nailing your diet consistently and using proper training technique. That has to be the focus.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And speaking of nailing the diet, we can't just focus on macros and forget about the micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. This is something that often gets overlooked, especially when people are really focused on hitting high macro numbers, like during a bulk. It's easy to gravitate towards foods that are calorie dense, but maybe not so nutrient dense. And what's really interesting, or maybe concerning, is that studies find even competitive bodybuilders, people meticulously tracking every gram of protein, carbs, and fat, are sometimes still deficient in certain key micronutrients.
Wow, even them.
Yeah, it just highlights how vital it is to build your diet around genuinely balanced, nutrient-dense whole foods. If your mom told you to eat your veggies, she was right, even when you're trying to get big.
That's a sobering point. Okay, we've talked about what can give you a small, natural edge, but we do need to address the elephant in the room. Why the physiques we see at the absolute top professional level often look so extreme, almost unattainable naturally. The sources mention this, calling it the dark side of the sport, involving performance-enhancing drugs or PEDs.
Yes, it's important we address this directly and clearly. The reality is that virtually all top-level professional bodybuilders use anabolic steroids and often other PEDs to achieve those extreme levels of muscle mass and leanness. That's just a fact of the competitive landscape at that level. However, it comes with a very significant health cost. And this leads straight to the most important recommendation. Prioritize your health, always. These substances carry serious, potentially life-threatening long-term risks. We're talking cardiovascular problems, hormonal disruption, liver damage. The list goes on. So the advice have to be unequivocal. For your long-term health and well-being, stay away from performance-enhancing drugs. Focus on what you can achieve naturally and sustainably.
Absolutely. Health first, always. Okay, so let's bring it all together. What does this mean for you, the listener, just trying to make steady, healthy progress in the gym? We've covered a lot, those wide macro ranges and how to navigate them, the absolute necessity of tracking your intake and your progress, and the importance of timing your nutrients effectively.
Yeah, the main takeaway is really about combining consistency with smart calculation. So maybe 3 core recommendations based on everything we've discussed. First, prioritize protein. Aim for somewhere in that 1.6 to maybe 2.2 grams per kilo range generally, maybe pushing higher only if you're in a very deep cut. Then, balance your carbs and fats according to your goal. Dial them up for a small surplus to build mass. Dial them down for a moderate deficit to lose fat.
Okay, protein first, balance the rest. Got it.
Second, plan and monitor. Spread your food intake across those 3 to 6 meals or snacks. Pay attention to that peri-workout nutrition window. And critically, use the tools tracking apps, the scale, to monitor what's happening and make adjustments if you plateau. Be objective.
Plan, track, adjust. Makes sense.
And finally, number 3, stay health conscious. Really focus on getting those micronutrients by choosing nutrient-dense foods over just empty calories. View supplements as potential small helpers, not magic bullets. And absolutely prioritize your long-term health by avoiding PEDs entirely.
Great summary. Protein, planning, and health focus. It's powerful stuff. And that point about micronutrients really leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. If these incredibly disciplined, competitive bodybuilders, people who track every single gram, measure their water intake, dedicate their entire lives to this, if even they often end up deficient in essential vitamins and minerals because they're so hyper-focused on hitting macro targets, what does that tell us about the fundamental importance of food quality? It really makes you question if eating big should automatically mean eating balanced. Maybe we all need to worry a little less about hitting the exact gram of carbs and a bit more about whether we actually ate enough vegetables today. Something to think about.